So Bernie Sanders last week in the Senate was making a speech. Because he tried to stop the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, from passing. That's the defense bill that allows us to go into all these endless wars and illegal wars, and where we kill a bunch of people for natural resources for no absolute reason, but the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Anyway, and we don't take care of our people here at home. Yeah, okay. Well, Bernie was making a speech, and he was talking about socialism for the rich, because all of a sudden, Republicans are coming, oh my God, we got to give $2,000 to people. That's socialism for the rich. Oh, we can't give the rich money. By the way, the richest 5% of the country, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Tim Cook, all of those, would receive at least less than 1% of this $2,000 check bill, right? Less than 1%. So I don't see how it's socialism for the rich, Republicans. Why don't you tell me? Oh, you won't. Oh, okay. So Pat Toomey, who says, oh, we should not object to the election, it's over, also says, but we can object to giving you, the American people, $2,000 because I don't care about you. I care about my corporate donors, right? And look, the Democrats are the same way. But if you really want to get to the nuts and bolts of this, they're complaining because they had to give you $2,000. And by the way, they didn't pass it. Oh, it's too much money. Oh, this and that. Oh, but what about that tax bill that Republicans passed in 2017 in December? What about that? What about that bill? You know, that $1.9 trillion tax bill, basically $2 trillion that went up, up to the rich. And then, it went all the way up to the rich. And guess what? You got none of it. $61,000 went to the rich as an average tax cut. And companies like Amazon, Delta Airlines, Chevron, all these companies paid zero in federal taxes. And they still got a tax rebate, which is basically a tax refund. Since when do you pay your taxes as an average citizen and then you get a refund? No, you get prosecuted. The IRS comes after you. The debt collectors come after you. And then the U.S. government will come after you if you really push them. So Bernie Sanders is going to make this point, and I just wanted to show you one of his points here.
But while we are on the subject of socialism for the rich, which my Republican friends have suddenly become very concerned about, let me talk about the Trump tax proposal that was pushed very hard by Senator McConnell and the Republican leadership, and where I think every Republican voted for it. You want to talk about socialism for the rich? It is not the bill that puts $2,000 into working class hands all over this country. That ain't socialism for the rich. This is socialism for the rich in that bill. Amazon, oh, by the way, I must say this if I may, we were quoting the liberal Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest guy in the world. So here is Jeff Bezos' company, Amazon, and they received a tax rebate. They paid nothing in 2018 in federal taxes. That's a corrupt tax system to begin with. But then on top of that, they received $129 million as a tax rebate. That, Senator Thune, is what socialism for the rich. In fact, this particular company is owned by the richest guy in the world. You gave him a $129 million rebate.
So there we go. Republicans all of a sudden, with $2,000 on the line for the American people in the middle of a pandemic, 300,000 people died because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. No, Republicans, is not a plandemic. You're not clever with your words. You're actually quite stupid. 15 million people losing their health care, over 40 million people losing their homes, over 28 million people losing their jobs, and well, 40 million people losing their jobs, 28 million people losing their homes. 42% of black-owned businesses are gone down the drain in the garbage. They're closed. Millions and millions of families in food banks because we can't afford to give them anything. But Amazon got $129 million. Jeff Bezos is worth over $187 billion. He actually went up in the pandemic. His wealth went up by $78 billion. And yet he got $129 million. And they didn't file any taxes in 2018. Actually, they did. And they paid zero in federal taxes. And they got $129 million. So okay, Republicans, you didn't want to give us $2,000 last week. Okay. So now, why don't you want to give us that $2,000? You gave Amazon $129 million. I get it. Jeff Bezos and the rest of the Amazon Corporation and Whole Foods and everybody else, and Amazon Pantry, they donate to you. I understand that. I got that. But how do you not want to give us $2,000? Okay, so you can agree that Republicans, all they want to do is give money to the rich anytime, any day. It could be right now, Jeff Bezos could call and say, I want a $300 million tax rebate. And Mitch McConnell, Pat Toomey, and all the rest are going to go. And John Thune, they're going to be like, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Come on, open the Senate, Mitch. We got to do this. But when you need $2,000, oh, gee, let me check my pockets here. Nope, not enough for you. Okay. Well, Bernie Sanders is not done because apparently Republicans don't get it and they think that $2,000 is socialism for the rich. Let's continue with what really is socialism for the rich. Come on, Bernie.
But it's not just Amazon. Delta Airlines also paid nothing in federal taxes in 2018, and yet they received a $187 million rebate from that particular bill. Chevron, helping to destroy our planet with their carbon emissions, $181 million in a rebate. That, my friends, is what socialism for the rich is about.
All right, so there you go. Delta Airlines got $187 million. By the way, this is the airline industry. You pay what? $300 to go cross country for a round trip? Even a getaway trip is like $200 or more. And guys, these companies didn't need $187 million in tax rebates. They have money coming in the punani. Up the yin-yang. I know I said it a terrible way, but I'm not a professional. Up the shrupa. They got it coming out their ass. And by the way, they just got a corporate bailout of millions of dollars. And then you got Chevron that's burning our air, breaking through the ozone layer, which protects us from the sun's rays, polluting our air, polluting our water, polluting everything. They get $181 million from Trump's tax bill. Oh, but that's okay because they're a corporation and they need that money. They don't need that money. They don't need it. They don't need it. You blew a $2 trillion hole in the deficit for nothing. Nothing. But giving the rich all that they wanted. And then guess what? They gave $4.25 trillion to the rich. And then the Democrats voted for it. Because the Democrats are corporate tools, progressives and otherwise. They're all corporate tools. They know it. You know it. And it makes no sense to vote for them. And it makes no sense to vote for the Republican Party. Because all they're going to do is screw you and say, F you, I'm not going to help you. And then guess what? You're waiting in food banks in Texas, in San Francisco, in Ohio, in Oklahoma, in Iowa, the red states, because Republicans refuse to give you money. But they don't refuse to give the rich any money. They don't refuse to give them corporate bailouts, tax cuts that they don't need, corporate contracts that they don't need. And then they let them offshore their jobs, so you don't get a job and you get your benefits and pensions and your retirement stripped, but they get tax breaks, even though they don't need it. So that's socialism for the rich. And as Bernie said, giving people $2,000 is not socialism for the rich. It's helping the American people stimulate the goddamn economy. And these Republicans know it. They know. But they just don't want to allow this. And by the way, the corporate Democrats, they could have said, I'm not going to vote for I'm not going to vote for the NDAA until that $2,000 is in that bill. Or instead of Nancy Pelosi passing up $2.2 trillion because it would help Trump electorally, instead of her denying that, she could have passed that and we would have had $1,200 checks. Or instead of going from $2.2 trillion to $900 billion, and actually Trump offered her $1.8 trillion, she said no. Instead of negotiating herself down, Nancy Pelosi could have said $2,000 in this bill, bitch. Take it or leave it. No, but they're corporate tools of the establishment, and they don't know how to fight Republicans. Oh, but they sure as hell know how to fight the left on the Democratic Party, or in the Democratic Party. And the Republicans complaining about socialism for the rich. Pardon me, but that's kind of rich coming from them, who just gave away a bunch of tax money to these corporations who don't effing need it. But when it comes to you, they don't give a damn. You could starve for all they care.